Dan, here we are on Betway Premier League finals night, but it's a big day for you. Another book with the surname Waddell attached to it. It's your memoirs of your time with your great father Sid. How did the book come about?
Well, I always thought I'd write about him because he was such a colourful character, you know, and he had such a unique story. Came from a pit village, and went to Cambridge, wrote a novel that was banned for explicit sexual content. He was, you know, worked as a TV producer, many ups and downs until he became a darts commentator, and that sort of gave him his voice, and it's what made him famous. So I wanted to tell that story. I always thought I would tell that story, but then after he died, and there was this huge outpouring of affection and tributes to my dad, which he would have loved to have watched, loved to have read, because he loved any publicity about himself, but he wasn't there to read them. And I got back to London, and my son Dougie, who was very attached to my dad, said to me, "Why has Wayne Rooney tweeted about Grandad?" And I said, "What's he said?" And he said, "Look, he said he's a legend." Did he know him? And I said, "No, they never met." And he said, "Well, why has he tweeted about him then?" And I said, I'd have to write you a book. And so 4 years later, here we are.
I mean, there was never a dull day when he was in the press office with us. We loved it. The book charts your memories of going round the circuit with Sid. Now, it wasn't always venues as illustrious as this, was it?
It wasn't. It was Doncaster. Nothing wrong with Doncaster. Here's no ad. But yeah, I mean, I first went to the darts in 1985, Jollies, World Championships, and I remember walking through into what was just a wall, a haze of fog, of smoke. You know, you could barely see the stage. Eric was playing Dave Whitcomb, Eric slurping on a pint, chuffing on a fag, the gigantic drunken roar whenever he hit 180, and you know, it was an amazing experience just to go in there. And I spent that first night in the back of the commentary box, seeing my dad in action. And, you know, my dad was always quite a lively character, even at home. But I'd never quite seen anything like him in a commentary box. It was like a buffalo in an airing cupboard. You know, he was jumping up, sort of screaming his head off. I mean, for me, he was transformed. And from then on, I went to every World Championship, I think, for the next 19 years. I didn't miss a single one. And I went all over. We went to Redcar, as I said, all the glamorous places.
Great memories for you. Did you learn anything new about Sid during the book?
Well, I did. There's quite a few. What was interesting, I learned a couple of things. Is, first of all, that he had this quite checkered career. Had he not found the darts, there's a good chance that he wanted to make his mark on the world. There's no doubt about it, which is why he wrote novels. It's why he did scripts. Joss's Giants is very fondly remembered by people in the 1980s. But what I did, I discovered that he did have a few. He went to work in Iran for 3 months. This is before the fall of the Shah. As a TV producer, didn't get paid, came back. He was penniless. He had to borrow some money from Dave Lanning to get back to Leeds. This is 1975. You know, during the height of the indoor league, but he'd been fired from Yorkshire Television, and he was really on his uppers. And darts saved him, because he decided to do a documentary about Alan Evans, and we all remember, a very fiery Welsh character. Sid loved him because of the sort of swaggering braggadocio on stage, and that documentary sort of plucked him out of the sort of, not poverty, but things were looking quite bad. And then that led him on the path to becoming the BBC commentator for darts. And then the story sort of went on from there. So things like that I never knew, just how close he was to sort of giving it all up or being a failure in his eyes. It was very interesting to learn.
And of course, the Premier League playoffs was perhaps his finest hour when he got to commentate with Stephen Fry 6 years ago. I know he looked back on that so memorably. Yeah,
he did. And it worked brilliantly, didn't it? I mean, I spoke to Stephen Fry for the book, and he's got very fond memories of it. He was a bit disturbed beforehand, because Sid went into the sort of like a trance, like a prize fighter, gathering himself for a fight. And I think Stephen Fry was, hang on a minute, you know, my dad quiet, he was sort of psyching himself up. But as soon as they got in that commentary box, him and Rod and Stephen Fry, they just had an absolute ball and enjoyed every single second of it. But my dad said it was one of the most enjoyable experiences he'd had in a commentary box, and he'd had a fair few of those.
And of course, the book's out today from all good publishers.
Yeah.
You're bringing the publishers along to enjoy a night that Sid would have loved as well.
Yeah, exactly. Here it is. We had some laughs. My Dad, the Darts and Me, it's out today. They're going to be here to experience the unique ambience, or ambulance as Sid used to refer to it, of the darts. It's something that everybody should experience at least once in their life.
Brilliant. Thanks. We hope the book's a great success.
Cheers, Dan.